Alright, so in today's lesson we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so this is connected to what we've done before with fractions. So for example, back in the day we've taught you how to do this, or you should have learned how to do this, 1/4 plus 1/6, right? When we add and subtract fractions, we need to have the what? Same what?
Denominator.
This is the all clear. Great job, Saint.
Thanks.
Like this video if you're all clear, or you like the Saints. Begging for likes here. Okay, that's a joke. Alright, so we don't have the same denominator, so we have to find a common denominator. Now, on this one, there's a special way you're supposed to find a common denominator that usually teachers don't share when you're growing up. They just say, one way that some teachers say is multiply the denominators together and you get 24. Or other teachers say make a list. Okay, neither of those are correct. We want to find the lowest common denominator that's in both. So you take, I know 1/4, I know 4 is just like saying 2 times 2, right? And 6 is also like saying 2, it has a 2 in it, and it also has a 3. And I want to make sure I include those, right? So I'm factoring the denominators, and now I'm looking at each of my denominators, and I'm asking myself, are they the same? Or what parts are the same? On the left denominator, there's a 2, and on the right denominator, there's a 2. That's good. But on the left denominator, there's another 2, right? So since there's another 2 here, and there's not another 2 here, I need to multiply 2 on this denominator here. So I'm going to multiply it by 2 here and here, okay? Whatever I did in the denominator, I'm also doing in the numerator. So now both sides have, this side has a 2 and a 2, and this side has a 2 and a 2 being multiplied. Make sense? There's nothing else on the left side, but on the right side I have a 3, so I need to multiply this left side by a 3 also. Okay, so now my denominator is 3 times 2 times 2, which is what? 12, right? Now I know this seems like, oh, that's the longer way to do it, but this is the concept that should have been taught to you, and this is what we're going to roll with today. It's really important that we understand how to factor it and add the correct, or multiply the correct factors in. So now since we have the same denominator, we just add them together. 3 plus 2 is 5. We add the numerators together, and we get the common denominator of 12. And that's your answer. Okay? Good? So, to your neighbor, just really quick, describe how do you add and subtract fractions, just to give them a review. Ready, set, go. All right, so I'll show you how to do a couple of these. Now today we're not doing numerical fractions, we're doing polynomial fractions. So over here we still do what we did before. We have 2x over 5 plus 5y over 8x. We check for excluded values because we don't want any denominators that are equal to 0. This first denominator of 5 is not equal to 0, never equal to 0, but 8x can. So I'm going to take that and put it to the side. Oops. Down here. 8x is equal to 0. So when I work that out, I get x is equal to 0, right? That's an exclusion. Okay? Then I ask myself, I'm going to factor each of my denominators. 5, I can't factor anymore, it just stays the same. In 8, I can factor as 2 times 2 times 2, but that's irrelevant now that I know that 5 is just 5. So now I'm just going to work this out. This left side has 5. Does this right side have a 5? No. So I need to multiply the right side by 5 in both the denominator and the numerator. Okay? This right side now has 8x, or 8 times x. Okay, so we have an 8 here. Is there an 8 on this side? There's not, so I'm going to multiply this side by 8. And whatever I do to the denominator, I also do to the numerator. And then I'm also noticing there's an x here. I have to multiply that in here too. Okay, so we got x times 8 times 2 times x is going to be, well, actually before that, the denominators now. 8 times 5 is 40 times x is 40x, and that's my new common denominator on each of these. Oops, sorry about that. I don't know what I just did. Okay. Then, our numerator, we got x times 8 times 2 times x. So 8 times 2 is 16, x times x is 16x squared. Okay? And then we got 5 times y times 5 is 25y. Okay? Now we got a common denominator. Now we could add our numerators together. Our numerators are not common terms. We have x squareds and we have y. So even though we could put them together, we can't really combine them because they're different terms. They're not like terms. So we're just going to put them over one denominator. So if you have 16x squared plus 25y, I'm just rewriting it, but I'm making it one problem with one common denominator, 40x. And then, of course, we write our excluded value, semicolon, x cannot equal to 0. Okay, that's number 1. Okay, questions on number 1? Okay, number 2. Number 2, we got b plus 5 over 2b squared minus 4b, all minus 2 over 2b. Okay, so this one is a little scarier, but the first thing you do again is you find an excluded value. So I'm going to take this 2b squared minus 4b because it has a denominator with a variable in it. And I'm going to factor it out, figuring out my excluded value. So I know 2b is equal to 0 and 2b, or b minus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, b cannot equal to 0 and b cannot equal to 2. Okay? These are both excluded values. And then I'm noticing on the second denominator, 2b is here, right? So this one has to be 0 also. But that's already included here, so I'm not going to do more work than I need to. Okay? Now I'm going to factor out my denominators. So this first denominator becomes 2b times b minus 2. Second denominator is 2b. And I'll bring the rest of the problem down while I'm at it. Okay? And I'm asking myself first, what is common in both denominators? So there's a 2b here, there's a 2b here. Okay? So we're good, right? Over here we have a b minus 2. Is there a b minus 2 right here? No. So we're going to have to multiply that second fraction times b minus 2 in both the numerator and the denominator. Okay. So now we're going to check to see if we have a common denominator. We do. We have 2b times b minus 2 in both denominators. So we're going to start simplifying. I have a negative 2 here, so we're going to multiply negative 2 times b is going to be negative 2b. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. And I'm going to bring the rest of the problem now, b plus 5 in front of it. I have a new common denominator, so this could all just be under a whole common numerator. I'm going to multiply this back out. 2b times b is 2b squared. And then 2b times negative 2 is negative 4b. Combining like terms, b minus 2b is negative b. And then 5 plus 4 is 9. Bring down a common denominator, and we get this, okay? Now, some math teachers don't like having this negative sign in the front, so what they do is they factor out a negative. So check this out. Remember how I told you to factor out a negative 1? You could just factor out a negative sign. Okay, put a negative sign in the front, like so. And we ask ourselves, negative what time is equal to negative b? Well, just b. Negative what type is equal to positive 9, negative 9. So we got 2b squared minus 4b in the denominator. Okay, we have a semicolon. We want to add our excluded values here. So this answer here that's boxed is an appropriate answer, and this is an appropriate answer. These are both equivalent answers. Okay, so I just want you to know that they're both correct. So just be ready for either one. Okay. All I'm doing in this one is moving the negative sign in the front. Okay, questions on numbers 1 or 2? Okay, let's have you chat a little bit. So let's have 1 still. 2 is about number 1. We're continuing on number 3. So we got 5e over 4 plus 2 over 5b. So you can work these out on your paper and then write the final answer on your iPads. Number 3 we'll do together. Okay. So first thing is, do we have any excluded values here? In the first denominator, do we have any excluded values? Turn to your neighbor, tell them. Okay. What's our excluded value here, everyone? 0, right? If I put 5b on the side, you know you'll get b is equal to 0. So I'll just put this on the side of my paper, that way I don't forget about it, okay? Okay, first denominator. Can I factor out 4? Yeah, we can. But what's 4 equal to? 2 and 2. Okay, good. Just keep that in the back of your head. What about 5? Can we factor out 5? Are there any common factors between 4 and 5? No. So let's not factor 4 or 5. Let's just leave them alone, okay? And v is right here, so there's no v on the left side. So we're just going to leave that alone. So now we're going to ask ourselves, there's a 4 here. Is there a 4 on the right side? No. So now we're going to multiply this denominator and this numerator by 4. So let's do that together. Okay. Is there anything else in this left denominator that I can multiply into the other denominator? No. Okay, right denominator. What do we have here that's not in the first denominator? 5 and v. Good. So we're going to multiply 5v on the left side. Both numerator and denominator. Now we're going to multiply it out. Before multiplying it out. Just making sure before we move on. We have 5v times 4 here, and we have 5v times 4 here. So we have the same denominator. Perfect. Okay? So now we're going to multiply the numerator out. We got 5v times 5u. 5 times 5 is 25. U times v is uv. So we're going to have, how did I write 20? Oh, this is my new denominator. 5v times 4 is 20v. It's my new common denominator. New numerator is going to be 25uv. Oh, there's the answer for both of them. And then we have 8 here and 20v. Okay? Semicolon v is cannot equal to 0. Okay? That's number 3. Okay? We did this one together, right? So what I'd like you to do is take a moment, catch up, and then we're gonna check your neighbor's work. All over 15m cubed. Okay, if you made a mistake, please correct it and tell your neighbor, I made a mistake here. If you did it correct, tell your neighbor, I did it correctly. I feel good about myself. If you got it wrong, say, I made a mistake here, but I'll not do that again and feel good about myself next time. Okay? Good. Next one. Number 5. Now 5 looks a little scary, right? Because you have like these denominators that are like bigger, right? But I got a question. Can I factor out anything out of 5x minus 1? Well, actually, before even that, let's look at each of these denominators. What do we know about all denominators and numerators? They have an imaginary set of what around them? Good. So you can't, let's put those around here, right? If we know that there's parentheses there, can I factor out anything of 5x minus 1? No, we can't. Can I factor anything out of x minus 3? No. So let me just start you off. There's a 5x minus 1 on this denominator. Is there a 5x minus 1 over here on this denominator? No. So now we're just going to multiply 5x minus 1 here and also in the numerator, right? Make sense? Okay, what about this left denominator? We have an x minus 3 here, but is there an x minus 3 in this left denominator? No, so we're going to multiply it out. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, I want to see if you could do this. I'm going to give you a minute and a half. I want you to finish and simplify this out. Okay, on this particular problem, you should have multiplied it out. When you do that, you get the following. Okay, we can combine like terms. 7x plus 30x is 37x. Negative 21 minus 6 is negative 27, and then we have a common denominator. We combine like terms. Okay, and that's your answer. Now, what did I forget to do here? Excluded values. What are my excluded values here? 3 and 1/5, right? 5x minus 1 is equal to 0 becomes x is equal to 1/5. And the other one is 0, so, or the other one is 3. Okay? Then we would box your answer. Okay? Alright, number 6. Number 6. This one looks a little scary too, right? Okay. We have 3x minus 2x all over this big triangle. What? Do we have a common denominator here? Yes or no? Do we have a common denominator in both of them? No. What's the denominator in the first problem? 1. Good. Okay. So this is actually will be a lot easier than you think. Let's see if you could do this one. Ready? Set, go. We got 3x minus 2x. We want to find the final answer. Your final answer is going to be the following. 3x cubed minus 3x squared. Minus, what do you think?
170.
Minus 170x, right? Why is it 170x? Because we have to multiply negative 56 times 3x is going to be negative 168. And then we have to subtract 2x again, which is 170x. all over x squared minus x minus 56. What are my excluded values? X can equal to -7 and 8. Yes. You want to do it for you? Yeah. Okay. So on this side, we have to multiply this whole denominator of x squared minus x minus 56. Okay. Okay, then we multiply 3x times x squared is 3x cubed, which is where we got this right here. You see? Okay. Then we have 3x times negative x is negative 3x squared, which is what we got right here. Okay. Then we have 3x times negative 56. 3 times negative 56 is negative 168. So it's negative 168x. You follow me? What's negative 168x minus 2x? Negative 170x. So that's where we're getting that. And then our denominator stays the same because we can't simplify anything else. There's nothing else to add or multiply. Okay? That's it. You good? Just did this.
Confused.
You're confused on which part?
Just everything. Do the denominator by both sides.
You get what on both?
I got it now.
You got it?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay.